This is a cycle with lots of mental stimulation, changes that affect your viewpoint, and that shift could be ignited by a revolutionary mind or an inventive thinker who has a talent for lecturing, teaching, or writing books. And the topic may be astrology or the occult or mathematics or technology or science. It's a busy cycle where errands and contact with family members is highlighted. And some of you it could be friends or an organization inspires you to suddenly take an enjoyable travel tour, or maybe it's a group trip you take for additional education, training, or learning purposes. This could be like a convention or a seminar. And during this period, there's unexpected news, communication, and short trips that prove beneficial. Something exciting could happen to a sibling, or you could receive unexpected awards or recognition. For others, this cycle brings an addition to the family through birth or marriage. And this influence also brings the possibility for more than one romantic partner. As always, the full moon is a culmination, and so you're meant to reconcile any imbalance between the ego and emotions. Now, this is a cycle where events occur that you didn't anticipate, and so your plans may need to be altered. And this can be due to disruptions that require your flexibility. So, in some cases, it may not be the best thing to make a firm commitment to something new, a new project, because some unusual circumstance is probably going to interfere with the progress of it. Now, some of these unexpected changes are actually pleasant surprises that are going to offer you some advantage in the long run. So the focus is on new ideas, scientific interests, astrology, and the persons connected to those areas. And matters also linked to technology, computers, and the very old and the very new. Now, this moon is in Aquarius, and so the women in your life right now will tend to be more independent, more intellectually oriented. And there is a continued emphasis on changes related to your profession, your job responsibilities, your social standing, your public reputation, and situations that bring you into view and into the awareness of more people. This moon makes you a good networker, a popular person, or it connects you to helpful friends who are. So consequently, it's a cycle where you may be very optimistic that an idea or an endeavor will be successful. And there's some great energy that lends inspiration in artistic, architectural, or athletic endeavors. Now, you've probably heard at least a little bit about the union of the two benefics, Venus and Jupiter. And this energy is superpowered by a stellar influence that boosts the ability to suddenly achieve results well beyond your dreams. So for some, this will represent a successful project, and it may be even one that sets new standards. Now, this duo also brings a great deal of outward happiness, shared joy, and coming together with others through unusually strong feelings of love. And that means that some of you are in the stages of falling in love or getting engaged or getting married. And it could also pertain to successful artistic pursuits or gaining popularity very quickly. Because in this moon chart, this combo sits in a house of values, it gives you the power to attract material possessions, money, and people. And as a result, you're likely to give more attention to your finances given the opportunities presenting that could result in an increase in earnings. You may be looking at your financial practices, or whether your expenses are reported accurately, or the allocation of funds, or whether you're charging appropriate fees for your services. And favorable negotiations and transactions work to your benefit, and also situations that underscore your natural talents, your innate gifts, and the skills you've acquired. And quality of life is also a consideration. And if simplicity is a theme for you, you may decide to cut back your hours. And this is a decision that comes as a reassessment of your priorities according to your value system. So it may be more important for you to live a certain way as opposed to earn a certain amount. So either there's an intensified effort toward materialism, or you're shifting away in appreciation of more quality time in your life. Now, the caveat when Venus and Jupiter get together can be too much of a good thing, and that can cause disadvantage through wastefulness, extravagance, or even a love conflict. As I mentioned earlier, it's possible for you to have more than one romantic partner, and events can prompt you to review your moral values, including issues of monogamy or loyalty to one person. If you start a relationship at this time, it's probably going to be very exciting, and you may be highly motivated by strong emotional and/or sexual attraction. And this could be a romantic, yet somehow unconventional or a clandestine affair. For one reason or another, you have to keep the relationship a secret. But you could find yourself in a battle between the draw of this relationship and the struggle to maintain your self-expression or your independence. So there's a vacillation in intensity where your connection tends to run hot and cold. Now, this very same energy can make a relationship, if you have children, more challenging, especially if they're demanding greater freedom. Maybe the circumstances require independence. So they could be, hitting some milestones that you're not quite ready for. You might disapprove of their choices. And if that's the case, this can be a time where there's some minor conflicts, some disobedience, or some argumentative responses on their part. There's an energy of strife that requires more effort. And in the broader view, that could put a spotlight on prominent figures. But more personally, your respect is earned through your great perseverance, your resolve not to surrender, not to give up the pursuit of triumph. In fact, with the moon in Aquarius, emotional security is linked to a freedom urge. And that urge is stimulated by stars that create a natural desire to engage in challenge. And this can highlight a person who triumphs by being aggressive, or a person with physical vitality who is at times reckless. So there's an energy here that signals the process of transformation, whether public or personal, a revolution of some sort, and with it the collapse of the old order and the construction of the new. Now, at worst, this becomes fanaticism, acts of violence, or the mania of destruction, but it is the stage of bending or breaking. On the world stage, events will stimulate the quick response to environmental influences, and this might indicate brutality or sudden catastrophes of great consequence made manifest through world events, natural disasters, or military action. If so, change underscores the effect of a higher power, of force, of violent interventions, and it might place emphasis on war veterans or casualties. On a more personal level, you could possess immense drive for change or freedom. Depending on personality, you may have a love of variety that inspires you to rearrange your environment, change your residence, or make new contacts. For some, it could be a change of name or changes in your social circle as a result of marriage. On the other hand, you might find yourself getting irritable, having upsetting experiences, or dealing with people who are unstable. Maybe you're prone to nervous haste or scattering your energies. Alternatively, you might be drained or listless because of emotional depression or sickness. So changes to the physical body could occur as a consequence of injury or accident, or due to some kind of necessary operation for a replacement. This could be an artificial limb, could be dentures, something to do with your skull. For others, this period triggers the nervous system, and you may experience sensitive skin nerves, headaches, or trigeminal neuralgia. If health is not the concern, it might be a disagreement over joint finances, insurance settlements, alimony or child support payments, taxes, or inheritance. And for some of you, trips and communication may be related to matters that have to do with death or the concern for the health and welfare of a sibling. Upsets and difficulties may show up through institutions or disclosures of secrets and what's been hidden. And there can be sudden actions by persons that you wouldn't imagine have been working against you. But if you choose, opposition can become a compromise. Overall, secrets will cause a great deal of anxiety, and your response to the inability to reconcile the inner workings of your mind will provoke you into triggering situations that you find difficult to understand, even though you may be the actual source of the disturbance. So either matters seem to be unraveling, or the element that kept something shrouded in secrecy is now unraveling. Whatever the case, this is a cycle that highlights pioneers, reformers, extraordinary individuals, great people in the sphere of sports, or those endowed with universal genius. These are persons of great confidence and great ambition. If that's you, there's a fire trine that supports your natural talents, your enthusiasm, your creativity, and a bold, action-oriented approach to life that provokes you to take risks, pursue your passion with courage. Some of you may be working on a talent, but you're not yet ready to demonstrate that to the world. Maybe you want to develop it a little bit further before you put it out there. There's also an air trine suggesting a natural flow related to the intellect, communication, and social interaction. Perhaps you're a skilled communicator, or you have an ability to cope with a lot of stress or deal with unusual problems, or maybe you just enjoy exploring new ideas and experiences. Now, this air trine is actually part of a powerful configuration called a kite, and it gifts you with the ability to harness that creative potential to achieve significant accomplishments. And there are two pathways of opportunity. The first can be a sudden advancement in your occupation through the intervention of an old friend. Some of you have the possibility for long-lasting benefits that come through groups and close associations. Maybe you're chosen for a prestigious position in an important organization. Others of you will combine practicality with originality, and there can be some possible gains through a creative invention. So unconventional and creative outlets may produce new, different, and unusual inventions that prove to be very profitable. Or maybe you receive a boost through new and advanced methods of operation introduced into your line of work. For example, it might be something linked to computers or software or technology or AI or whatever it is. Also supporting you is enhanced intuition. And this could give you foresight in making some major moves or changes that have long-lasting beneficial results. For some of you, this marks a period where you're interested in psychic centers, astrology seminars, or conventions, or maybe you develop this strong interest in the occult, the mystical, life after death. In fact, anything mysterious, secretive, or unusual can hold appeal. Some of you may enter a totally new field of occupation. It might have something to do with chemistry, graphic arts, something specialized. And for others, there's the urge to start your own business, to be in control of your own time, your own actions. So a milestone occurs, a turning point in your professional or personal affairs, a new vocation, relocation, or going into business for yourself. And money could actually fall into your lap through unusual circumstances, very often with little effort on your part. In other cases, a creative outlet that has just been dormant, maybe something you put on the side, is coming to light and becomes a tremendous financial success. So the advice is to tap into your inner resources for any possibility that can help attain goals and your aims in life. And with increased psychic ability at this time, you might even have the capacity to win a large sum of money by picking the right lottery numbers. Although this isn't a suggestion that you should try that, but the power of visualization gives you an uncanny ability to put your ideas into constructive use. So inner vision, inspiration, and imagination produce positive results with far-reaching goals, especially when dealing with the masses. So again, there may be situations that link to medical and scientific areas, or one that gives you a glimpse of human nature. It could be that you're having a powerful sexual experience, or others, your destiny is in physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual areas of healing, and you're becoming a powerful force in one of those fields. Now, during this cycle, your higher awareness opens through service and situations that challenge your ability to be of effective service to others. But not only that, you must value and enjoy what you have to offer. The universe is asking that you give freely of a specific skill, but without holding yourself to the mercy of other people's demands. So you may feel a calling right now, one that requires you to develop a high level of skill in your chosen field. Maybe it's toward community welfare, maybe it's healing, maybe it's care for animals, but whatever it is, giving to others is the key to your self-fulfillment and your happiness. So right now, your role is to cultivate generosity and optimism, to focus on self-mastery, to give just for the joy of giving without any kind of expectation for a return. The lesson is in not giving in to the pressure to belong, or worrying about what other people think, or negatively comparing yourself to other people and what they're doing. This is a cycle where others will either highlight your path to fortune or bring fortune to you. So on the whole, this is a busy, eventful, and happy period with many new friends from different backgrounds that stimulate your social life. Now, the card naturally assigned to this moon is the Six of Swords, which does relate to travel, dealings with those at a distance, and a revisit of places and experiences you've had before. For some of you, it's moving on, possibly with the help of others, from a toxic situation, whatever that might be, toward better and brighter days. So a change of attitude, or maybe a discovery of some sort, changes your plans. And what occurs enables a potential recovery, the release of tension you've been experiencing, and a moving away from stress and troubles. So this desire to reach a better destination could be physical and or metaphorical. In the physical world, that could manifest as a holiday trip, a trip abroad, a relocation, or some unexpected journey. Or it may be that an enjoyable connection suddenly re-enters your life. But first, you may have to get past some choppy waters to get to the other side of a situation where you're dealing with one problem after another, whether it's personal, professional, legal, or medical. Something feels like a rewind, and it requires your patience. And these are issues that you thought were resolved, but they're cropping up again when you least expect. A direct correlation to procrastination or being wrongly influenced and having to start over. The point is to realize where you're stuck in negative thought, where you're wasting too much time, energy, and effort, or putting your faith in the wrong people, the wrong situations, especially if you've been dealing with repeated disappointment. Hopefully, you find the resolve to leave a troubling situation or an abusive environment, or accept help that's offered. Otherwise, you may feel trapped and stressed. Maybe it's the desire to help those less fortunate to achieve a better life. Now, the good news is that this is a cycle where you can easily find a way out, or maybe remove yourself from a situation that you find pointless, or let go of habits that undermine your progress. Now, to do this, you might have to sever certain ties that interfere, that get in the way with worthwhile commitments that really matter to you. So beneficial changes and a better way to handle situations happens when you either stop making excuses or you stop accepting them. And so you're going to face situations that demand you take a new approach, and in some cases make some drastic changes, possibly in response to a shock announcement or just the will to innovate something. So the goal is to restore your equilibrium and bring about some kind of welcome evolution.